first time my volume down.
Oh, it's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Ooh.
How are you guys?
Pretty good. I'm excited to, get this going.
Excited
Get
to
some
panel.
yeah.
Yeah. Hi again.
Hey,
I
how's it going?
Good. I will say I have been riddled with anxiety today, kind of about this and just about like everything.
yeah,
However, I think that this is going to be really good, and I'm really thankful for this opportunities.
Mm.
100%. I think yeah, this is gonna be great. Do you have a specific place you want me to write notes or anything?
I
Um,
am I'm writing the document that we had where like it's called panel two notes in our
mhm.
like pre-planning meeting. Um, I'm just taking notes there. If you want to take notes in a separate document and then upload it so that the page isn't like jumping as we're both trying to
Yeah, okay.
take notes, that's fine. But really, honestly, it's up to you.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
gonna
probably
start recording this meeting.
I think I already started. I got the notification that
Oh,
it's
facts, it does say record.
I also just don't want to tell you the wrong thing and it's not.
No, it is. It is. I see it on my screen. I don't know. Maybe I already hit it. Maybe I hit it when you joined. I think I did that. But as I said, my like anxiety recall is not.
Yeah. No, you're gonna do great and this is gonna be good. And once this is over, um, I mean we have a lot of work to do, but um
We do.
it'll be
We
over.
do. We do, but I'm feeling at peace about the fact that we're gonna have a direction and have actionable things that we can do.
Yeah, 100%. I think having just like tangible things and like I think even just like looking over our panel notes, we have a lot of opportunities in the next even just this semester.
Mhm.
But for next fall and everything, like we've definitely got momentum going.
Yeah, I think so too. And with UF serves too, kind of rolling out, I think
Yeah.
I think there's lots of potential and capacity for change and impact for our community. I think the pieces are finally kind of coming together, which is cool to see. So I'm excited to hear from our partners.
Yeah. A lot
Hi,
of it, a lot
Abigail.
of things to be excited about. Hi.
Mhm. Hi, Miss Abigail.
Hi,
How
Hi.
are you?
good. How are you?
Good. Really good. A little anxious about this, but not in like a detrimental way. Just,
Oh, it'll be fine.
yeah, it
It
will be.
just always takes longer than you expect to have certain conversations.
It does. And I'm thankful for that because I feel like the last panel was super thorough and really I'm glad that Sebastian was at that one and I'm glad that Alana's at this one because I think it's good for the future leaders to kind of like really get this very like perspective grounded very much in the community. And I think that that last panel did a good job of like regrounding us in that mission. So hello, Emma. Hi. I forgot Sebastian could come to this one too. Fantastic. Hi, Sebastian.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Again, do you know if Tasha's able to? I know she said she's able to come, but do you know if she'll?
Um, she is able to. It might just be her doctor appointments running late, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sounds good. Um, can you guys tell me a good thing that's happened to you today? You want to cultivate this positive energy, positive feedback loop. Alana?
Okay, a good thing I woke up on time for class. I was a little worried. Was able to do that. So start
Fantastic.
off the day strong.
Fantastic. It's amazing. Anyone else? There's got to be good things going on.
I'll share mine. Today's been a really packed day, like meetings back to back. So I was able to clear it up for this, and I'm really excited that I was able to make the time. So that's my good thing.
That's so great. We're so happy you're here. Thank you. Anyone else? Great thing that's happened while we're waiting for others to join. Oh, he's dancing with me.
Spent an hour with a bunch of gender, sexuality, women's studies majors talking about career values and interests and skills and how to look inward and resonate outward. So that was pretty good.
Fantastic. That's nice.
I'm figuring out
Maddie?
to run a film festival, so that's different.
You're gonna run a film festival?
Well, I think so. I don't have anything better to do, April, so.
Okay, I'm sure you, Chris, or Askin don't have anything better to do in April, but that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to get filmmakers to not be mad at me when I tell them they have to give me screening links for free. But also cool, I think my name was in like 1,000 theaters last night because I helped promote a film and I really didn't do that much for it. I just know the filmmaker and so I helped. And then I get this email that like your name is in the credits. And I tried to look, but they looked like too teeny tiny and it went wicked fast, but I'm gonna believe that my name was in there. So bam, life goal. It wasn't really a life goal, but
Which
that was
movie
cool.
is it?
It premiered last night and it was only in theaters for one night, but it's called A Case for Love. It's a film about like basically following the stories of everyday Americans and then interviewing a couple of celebrities around the question really, can love and specifically unselfish love be the thing that heals our country? In particular this year, as we're heading into such a toxically polarized election season, and is unselfish love the thing that we need in order to essentially see the humanity in each other? That's like the theme of the film festival, is bridging divides. So I'll share more and y'all can see movies in April.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Sounds like it's in line with your body of work.
A little bit.
Yeah, bridging divides. Okay, I don't want to delay too much, but we are waiting on like at least half of the people still. So yeah, I think we should wait.
Did you get responses?
Yes, I did. I guess not to the email yesterday, but to the Google, I don't know, the Google Meet. Let me make sure that, hang on.
I did go in the old Zoom for a second there, so I don't know if others
You
maybe.
did?
Yeah, because I had just put it in my calendar invite and then, and then I saw your email. Also, my inbox is a curse this week, so, it's a little
Yeah.
chaotic.
You know what? Hang on 1 second.
There could be people in the old room or in the Google meeting.
Yeah, I'm thinking that 1 second. I'm simultaneously in the Google meeting where Shanae is. Can you guys hear me on Zoom? Okay. But I'm not hearing from her, so I might. I don't know. 1 second. Okay, I might send an email out quickly. Um, Okay. Yeah, I just sent another email to everybody with the Zoom link again, but hopefully that makes a difference. For our panel advisors who are here right now, do you propose I take any particular action steps?
Who are we missing? Shanae, Tasha, Paul, Carla.
Carla, Andrew Tejas, Terry Bailey, Matt,
Are they all in the other meeting?
the Google meeting.
Yeah.
Not that I'm seeing because I'm currently in the Google meeting. Wait, let me see.
So we could text a couple of them and see if they're coming.
Okay.
It's just Shanae and the other one?
Yes, but I don't think she's there because she's not sharing me in this meeting.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll text Tasha and Paul.
okay, I'll text Amanda.
Paul is here.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Hey, Paul. Don't worry, you're not late. We're trying to find everybody else.
Okay, I found myself. Yeah, I had to finally go back to the email that you sent out, Maddie,
what did
and that had
you,
a Zoom link.
what did you join in the first place?
The Google Meet or something, that was on my calendar for some reason.
Yeah, I like sent out invitations with the Google Meet instead of the Zoom link, which was confusing, but I was hoping everyone would see the email.
But
I'm
the
not sure how to let people into Google.
your email had the Zoom link though.
Yeah, I just sent another one with it too. Oh my goodness. Mm. Yes, in the waiting room of the Google meeting, it said, there's not anyone else besides Shanae's autopilot, so. I'm going to leave that meeting. Shanae is somewhere in our virtual universe.
We're all in a multiverse of our own.
Yes,
Maddie, maybe it's my computer, but your sound is a little fuzzy. Your
is
audio.
it? Can the
Yeah,
rest of you guys hear me clearly?
it's a little better now.
Okay, let me try.
It's the sound of the ocean, Paul. You can't hear over the sound of the ocean.
Right.
Is it like an ocean noise?
No, I'm making fun of
Yeah.
him in the background.
I was gonna, my like computer fan is running pretty quickly right now, so I was thinking maybe it's blocking the rest of the noises.
It's the seagulls.
Let me
I
try.
was just being sarcastic.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Is that any better for you? Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay, let's do this then. Okay, there's Sarah. Amazing.
Great.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining. Miss Abigail, have you heard from Tasha at all? Okay, I haven't heard from Amanda either. Or Shanae or Carla. Carla joined late last time, I think, so that might be the case for this too. Okay, thank you again. Okay, while you guys are waiting here, I wanted to share something. I was like anxious before this meeting, and I am in no way, shape, or form trying to push like religious anything on anybody. I respect everybody's beliefs, but I thought that this was very like fitting for our meeting, and I just want to share. So there's a verse in the Bible called Hebrews 10:24-25. It says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." And one translation it says is to like spur each other on and encourage your people. And I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys being here, spurring on the mission of the NRC. And I think meeting together and discussing kind of our future plans is really powerful for how we can best pour into and love our community. So yeah, thank you guys. So I also wanted to ask,
That was nice, Maddie. I didn't-
yeah,
what was it? What was the Hebrews what?
Hebrews 10:24-25. Thank you, Agan. I
Very
see.
fitting.
Oh yeah, I thought so too. I opened it like 5 minutes before this meeting, and I was like breathing through and like praying about it, and that came up on my phone right before, so I thought it was cool. Anyway, thank you again. Amanda's going to be joining the meeting around 5 p.m. I imagine some of the other partners might be doing the same. I think I also wanted to ask you guys, I'd love to send out thank you notes after these panel discussions to our people who have dedicated their time to this. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. I can send out kind of a Google form asking for people's personal addresses or just like office addresses if they have them that I can send notes to, but I have a feeling not everybody's going to want to do that. Understandably. So do you guys have suggestions for how to like personally thank people that might be thank you notes or other form of media?
Involvement has been very limited, but I think an email note would be perfectly fine. for most folks, and in terms of community partners that have maybe been extra engaged and present and generous, then maybe that's worth thinking about other forms of appreciation, but
Thank you. So I might just email. Okay. Amanda said actually she had something change in her schedule. So, again, have you heard from Tasha? She's not in the office, right? Okay. Not sure about Andrew or Carla or others. So, I don't know. I think maybe using the people here and other people can join in the conversation as it gets going. Does that sound okay to you guys? Okay. Okay. Again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys and your input and your insight. I want to share my screen. Did you guys have a chance to look over the panel document that I sent out ahead of time? Okay. So briefly, the goals of this meeting are to kind of review the notes from the previous meeting, and review our existing resources that we have, just as a brief reminder. We won't spend too much time on that. Revise, I want to get community input on the NRC mission statement to make sure that it aligns with kind of what we're moving into. Develop a 1 to 3 year strategy with actionable goals. We have developed some SMART goals that are really, really specific to the needs that our partners have expressed so far through the feedback that we got in like November, December. But working with you guys to either like correct or tweak those or create new ones. And then also determine the metrics by which the NRC will measure our success moving forward. So per the last meeting, I think it was really emphasized that our primary focus at the NRC is not going to be completely separate of UF Serve's mission. It's not like we're fulfilling this gap that like UF Serves doesn't touch at all. But I think working together to kind of like deepen the relationships that UF Serves is able to establish and that we're able to establish with our partners, and connecting across multiple networks is key to this. And so doing that through like an education and action-based community engagement and integration focus, I guess. With that said, we also recognize that policy and program evaluation for ourselves and our partners are all kind of interrelated to the success that we can possibly have serving our community. And I think that as Paul Monahan said, and a bunch of other people reiterated, is that starting small and focusing on our close relationships that we have now is going to be the best approach to doing that, and then letting it grow organically from there. So that's kind of somewhat of a summary of the notes that we had from the last meeting. So far, the NRC has really just kind of been a meeting space where partners and faculty, staff, students can come together and like share those resources and learn about each other and make those connections, which I think is needed, especially as kind of like a community accountability measure, like a space where community voices can be heard as UF Serves is growing and developing, and community voices can kind of like shape what's going on within the institution. But with that said, I do think that we can do more to offer like tangible resources to our partners moving forward. And that's what Shanae was kind of emphasizing to us at the very beginning of last meeting. Community needs are first. They always have been at the NRC, but I think kind of figuring out how to like gather those community needs and where to go to get that information is key to this, so that we can stay consistently plugged into the community. So also being able to advocate as the NRC for the smaller, especially Black-led organizations who cannot easily access the resources provided by UF, and where there's maybe red tape around like, oh, they're not a registered 501c3. So as much as like Tasha and UF serves would maybe want to serve them, there's barriers around that. And I think NRC can fill that gap and be able to really build personal, deep connections with them. Also, yeah, again, smaller scale one-on-one relationship building, and recognizing that progress starts within our own team, being present in the community. So Shanae and others were talking about doing bus tours, neighborhood walks, with a community partner liaison. I talked to Tasha about like where we might want to go, and this is the feedback that she gave me. Doing smaller focus groups with certain community partners, maybe in teach-in style, with different student orgs that students can kind of ask questions and build those relationships with community partners. And then also Tasha mentioned going out and canvassing with Shanae and really like being out in the community and learning about the community. Also prioritizing like cultivating resources for our partners, not just hearing, okay, we need funding, but then actually kind of like engage. Florida has been able to do is like really, okay, write the grants, find the grants for our partners, like put in the actual work, boots on the ground sort of effort. And so coming up with an organizational structure that allows us to do that and kind of builds our capacity to be able to do that. And then also determining a process to onboard students into the NRC who are, learning about our mission and newly passionate about pouring into the community. Like, how do we hold them accountable to the community, and how do we educate them into this role where they can be responsive to community needs? These are existing partners who responded to us in our feedback request. So these are the partners that I think are quite close to us right now and that we can really pour into. And we have other ones, but we're most in touch with these. And so I think focusing our SMART goals and our action steps on how can we immediately resource these partners is probably the best strategy, based on the feedback that we got from the previous meeting. Existing resources are, that feedback from those partners. UF serves, which Egan touched on in the previous meeting. Hi, Tasha. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Also, hi. Also, Give Pulse is our developing platform that will be a resource that we can use in the future that will help with connectivity across campus and kind of be able to allow partners to stay connected to like students at UF a little bit more. We also have developed a community engagement curriculum that's still in the works. Sarah Bush is here, and she helped us develop a survey for this curriculum to kind of determine the effectiveness of like a student does this, and then what more do they understand about the community after completing this curriculum. And so I think like thinking about ways to track the NRC's success or UF serves, I think that could be a key component of that. But we can talk about that further. We hold monthly meetings, we have social media, tabling. These events are possible events that we can do, like student outreach. There's a BCLS conference, there's an SII transition conference that we can go speak to student orgs that are kind of newly developing and trying to figure out what is their mission and how can they do service potentially And so the NRC and BCLS being able to go and speak to them about like, hey, these are community partners' needs. This is what you could do to really help and be involved. That would be a good opportunity for that. And then NRC also being involved in this event. Alana and Sebastian are both here. They're going to be the incoming leaders of NRC. They both have amazing strengths that I think will be fantastic in the coming years of NRC. And they will also still be connected to the Path to Purpose Fellowship, which is a great pipeline for leadership. And so I think the NRC will have consistent leadership in the years to come. Marketing, and then also this Center for Humanities in the Public Sphere grant application. This is technically due in mid-February. This is something we can talk about in this panel. The NRC partnering with a specific community partner to come up with a project and be able to do this. If we can't make it by this grant deadline, there are other financing opportunities for the NRC to partner with this center and also a community partner to be able to kind of get some funding for a project that we could do with a community partner. So I think moving into, first of all, does anyone have any questions about that or feedback so far? Okay.
Maddie, so you're gonna cover all that today, because there's some highlights there that
Yeah.
I want to look at. You're gonna take it step by step all the way through?
I was just kind of grazing over these resources in this meeting. We can go more into depth if you have questions about the potential of that, but like for the structure of the meeting, we can take some of these into account like further down when we're trying to come up with strategy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get
if that works. But if you guys, again, I'm new to this and panel leading and everything, and so if you guys think that we could use our time more effectively in a different way than I'm doing it, then please speak up about that. Okay, so right now the plan is to kind of go over this NRC mission statement, what we have right now, and then to be able to workshop it, not completely come up with a new one because that can take a lot of time, but I just want to know like keywords that you guys see needing to be included in this mission statement. And yeah, what isn't here that would be really important to account for. I can read it out loud. It says the NRC is a grassroots coalition of student volunteers, institutional partners, community leaders, and over 40 local nonprofits that work together to redefine and reestablish the culture of service, reciprocal relationship building, and sustainable community engagement in Gainesville. To give some thoughts to this, when I was talking to Tasha and Egan about it yesterday, Tasha was saying that the words education, action, accountability, and advocacy would be really important to be integrated into this. How does anyone have any thoughts or feedback about that?
Could you repeat the words or type them up in the chat, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, they're right there. Okay.
No, that's okay. I can. Is that sufficient, or do you want them in the chat?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
You consider, so you're gonna redefine and reestablish the culture of service. Could you say you're gonna practice reciprocal relationship building and sustainable community engagement?
I think a key part of this could be, yes, we want to redefine and reestablish the culture of service, but so like through what kind of means, I think that would be through education, action and advocacy while staying accountable to our community. I don't know.
I would plug it in.
Okay.
Like at the end, that worked great to working together to redefine, reestablish all of these things. Or
Okay.
there, yeah.
And advocacy, while staying accountable to our community relationships. Community partners,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
to our community partners.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing? Because what are we doing with the rest of this reciprocal relationship building and sustainable community engagement? After you add these other words, are we just trying to fit the words in, or do we need to like create some
We could create kind of a subcategory for it. The point is to make sure that this is community driven. And so we don't have to come up with like the perfect words right now. I just wanted to make sure to go over this.
You know, using community driven, maybe just to be just specific about it being community driven.
Okay.
Maybe that's the
What
way.
about NRC is a community driven grassroots coalition?
Yeah, I would actually almost recommend getting rid of the list of all the people that are involved, because your
Okay.
mission statement should be really about what you're aiming to do and not necessarily like who's aiming for that. So that's more of like an overarching piece or component of how you're going about reaching your mission.
Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm gonna copy this down here in our scraps. So NRC is a community driven grassroots coalition that works together to redefine and reestablish the culture of service through education, action, and advocacy while staying accountable to our community partners.
I want to jump in and say maybe instead of works together, something like collaborate or to make it more succinct.
Okay, yeah, I like collaborate. Hi, Shanae, thank you for being here. Okay. Collaborate. That collaborates. That collaborates to, how does this sound? The thing that I'm thinking about is this part, so maybe while maintaining mutually oh, sorry, I see you, Emma.
No, sorry, what if we essentially keep that part more or less as it was and put the through education, action, and advocacy last? Because essentially, what are you trying to do? You're trying to redefine, reestablish a culture of service. You're trying to do that in reciprocal relationships and sustainable community engagement through all of these.
Yeah,
The last ones being like the actual actions, like so the what are you trying to do and the how being kind of separate clauses maybe.
okay. So the culture of service through
Redefine, reestablish a culture of service, reciprocal relationship building, and sustainable community engagement in Gainesville through education, action, and advocacy.
okay, understood.
It's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Keep it all in the
Cultures.
scraps.
Okay. And sustainable community engagement in Gainesville through. So this is what we have. I think this is succinct. And I like it, but if there's something else that should be included, please let me know. We can also kind of leave this like I'll send it out in a follow-up email, and if anyone has any feedback later, can do it then. But if not, we can move on to the next thing. Okay. Not hearing anything, so I think maybe we move on, if everyone is okay with that.
You know, taking out the, you described the different like stakeholders in the coalition. To me, if it's important that people know that one of your goals is to like redefine the relationship between the University of Florida and actual like community driven organizations, I feel like it does not convey that. Now, if that's not important, then that's fine, but I just don't. I know that that was like a big part of the original idea behind it.
Well, we absolutely want to stay true to the original idea behind what the NRC is. So, okay, should we keep in the stakeholders, or how else would you propose that we represent that original mission?
I think that I would probably keep in the stakeholders, honestly. Maybe not like list, I can't remember, student volunteers, institutional partners, community leaders. I might maybe not list, make it so long.
Okay, yeah. So we could say of students, institutional partners, and I don't want it to
University of Florida and community partners, and kind of using them as broader umbrellas.
okay.
Or it's students and community partners, since you might want to work with students from
Yeah.
other institutions as well.
So that was a thought I had earlier, actually. It was like, is it UF students? Is it other students? I'm curious.
Yeah,
Abigail,
because
what do you
honestly,
think?
like Santa Fe students are more local, so you could probably get like
Yeah.
a lot of, you know.
We have tried to collaborate with Santa Fe in some capacities, and it's been difficult to coordinate that effort, but that's something that we would like to do moving forward. So, yeah, I think not excluding them from the mission statement. But I also want to emphasize that like faculty and staff from the institutions are also welcome. Like this isn't just student facing.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody knows, while we were creating the curriculum, we did partner with Santa Fe, and that one of the discussions we had was keeping that door open for the NRC to be a space for all students and for all types of community throughout Gainesville and surrounding areas, actually.
Yes. So
Also have more identities than just being students, right? So
yeah, I think that's something we can workshop. I think the NRC can kind of brainstorm this, like as a team later, trying to represent those people, and then we can send it out. like different versions of it maybe
I do want
later.
to highlight, even as we're making space for that, we often say community leaders. There's many people in the community that have value that don't know that they're leaders.
Mm, yeah. So how I've considered community members in that space. Would that be appropriate?
It's a both and. So you want to
Mm,
highlight leaders because those are the people who help foster relationships, but you also want to be inclusive of the actual people. And my concern is even once we say there's a disconnect also with nonprofits, and because nonprofits provide services, we often leave
yeah.
out the people who receive services. And those are two totally different experiences.
Absolutely. Okay. So including community members here then is vital. So
Yeah. So one thing you could do that's a little bit more true to like a true mission statement / like your vision statement and what that should look like above is have one succinct statement that is the mission. And then it's actually pretty common to have how you would fulfill that mission as smaller like kind of bullets that go underneath it that aren't the succinct statement, but include a lot of this extra piece that we're kind of discussing at this point.
okay. Okay. Bullets about how to fulfill mission. Okay, so
Yeah, you want people to be able to remember it. And so the like truncated form, maybe just like the main points.
okay. I don't know why I did this. Okay.
It's kind of got to be, you know, a bit of an elevator pitch, and you can't put, if you put too many qualifiers, people can't keep track, or the like more ambiguous it can become. Like we think more qualifiers make it more specific, but sometimes because we have different definitions.
Mm. Okay. Okay. I
It's a
think
really
that's
good way to, sorry, what Abigail was saying in terms of the elevator pitch is great. Like if you're meeting someone in person or you're tabling and you say in a nutshell, like in one sentence, oh, what's the NRC? What would you emphasize actually? Like what are the most important bits of that?
okay.
Keywords. Maybe trying to anchor around those.
Okay. What I might do is do some more research and look at other mission statements from other institutions or maybe coalitions and see how they kind of do it, and then workshop with this with the team and bring it back to everybody maybe in our February GBM meeting. Another time to kind of workshop that. But I do, well, I have you guys here. I do want to kind of focus more on like action steps and kind of strategic planning for the coming like 1 to 3 years, however, whatever we think is appropriate. So if it's okay with you guys, to kind of move on to the next thing, then I think we can do that. Miss Abigail, you look like you have something to say.
I just thought the old mission was good. I mean, I know that you're like narrowing down your strategy and stuff that you're doing, but I thought that most of it was pretty accurate.
Okay.
Maybe some of the terminology might have been a little vague, or like I think most people don't know what community engagement means.
Yeah.
Like nonprofits a lot of times treat community engagement like marketing or PR.
Yeah.
Or checking a box.
And checking
Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Checking a box.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at the old mission, and we'll also keep in mind that it is a little bit exclusionary as far as the community members go, and workshop it from there. If
So I
that's
want
And I
to
think
highlight the one way that we are very specific about community engagement is that it's participatory. So participatory community engagement.
okay.
thank
So
you.
understanding that everybody who's engaged, if everybody's not participating, then it's not true engagement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Shanae. Yeah.
Shanae, do you have a mission statement that you use in your work that we could look at?
I'm sorry, my dog is barking. I can just send you the one from my organization. If you give me a second, I'll send it over.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, keeping that in mind, if it's okay with you guys, let's move on to the next thing and we can circle back around to that if we have time at the end. Okay, so kind of reiterating our primary focus, education and community integration. Hello, dog. You are so cute. So what we talked about in the last meeting, was kind of like methods of, really being more present in the community. And so, we talked about doing bus tours. When I talked to Tasha about this yesterday, she talked about, canvassing with you, Shanae, potentially going out and, doing that with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So also going to city hall meetings, where decisions are being made and conversations are happening, being able to advocate for our community partners there and also connect with our community partners, in a space like that. Visiting, organizations, especially smaller, Black-led organizations who don't have access to, or don't have easy access, I guess, to resources that the university provides to their list of nonprofit partners. So that includes, Back to Basics, Deep Roots. Tasha knows Jennifer Revel, Blossoming Butterfly, Split Garden. If there are others, who, yes, hi Shanae, I see your hand.
So there's strong-minded mentoring.
Okay,
And then let me give you the other one for Gerard Shepherd, which are also great resources. I also wanted to point out my organization does a great deal more than canvassing.
yes, very much so,
Um,
but I would,
so
yeah,
so even with that, if there are things that you, as it relates to, we host community meetings. So if you really want to be of the community, right
mhm,
now I'm helping support a mom who is starting a parent support group for moms who've lost kids due to gun violence. We
mm,
do lots of direct services. We throw lots of even forward-facing community events. So in addition to listening sessions and town halls, we
mm,
also do like fun community events. Like we've had rappers that have come here. We've marched to the polls. We do rallies. So if
mm,
people want to learn about any level of engagement, I go to schools with parents to meetings. So right now we're organizing parents around what's happening with our school system.
yeah,
So I do want to state there's a myriad of things that we do.
okay. Um, how do you best see the NRC being able to participate with you in that and also to kind of share that mission, and kind of like cultivate a sense of like, action among the student body, like for the
So in
mission that
many,
you
many
fulfill?
ways, there's
Okay.
lots of admin work, there's lots of peer-to-peer texting, there's
Mm,
lots of phone banking, there's lots of helping to be at meetings, being scribes, preparing
mm,
for the meeting, because any meeting that I host is very interactive.
yeah.
There's opportunities to help with childcare because we tell people to bring their children. We don't want them having children to be barriers. So
Mm,
there's a myriad of ways, even to like a stating attending. We like to attend meetings in a very coordinated manner and then
mm,
having people take certain portions to go up and actually speak and be on record. Just engaging with people. So sometimes just having a fun event. There's one thing that I do is called Teach a Girl to Cuss, and curse is an acronym. So it's just helping
okay.
as an empowerment conference. So there's a number of there's ways, and especially with a lot of the admin stuff,
Mm,
very helpful. So composing emails, helping revamp spreadsheets, entering data into Van. So yeah,
mm,
lots.
okay. Um, okay, so I think the further in this meeting, I kind of want to talk about like what kind of organizational structure could the NRC take on? Because right now there's 5 of us on this team and we can recruit students in for like specific tasks and say this is how you can be helpful in the community. But like what is our like how do we coordinate that effort to make sure that we can meet those needs and serve our partners in that way? Um, So I think that's a question that we'll want to tackle in this meeting. Also, so we also talked about doing like walkthroughs in neighborhoods, to really learn of the community. And so talking to Tasha, those neighborhoods included like Horizon Sunsets, Pleasant Street, Lincoln Estates, Duval, Sugar Hill, the Oaks areas. And we talked about who could maybe kind of be our community partner liaison in each of those spaces. Shanae, is that a new hand or is that an old hand?
Old hand.
Okay, got it, sorry. Okay, and so our guiding questions for kind of, okay, we see what we have to do, we want to integrate more, we want to be more collaborative and hands-on. How do we frame our organization around that mission? And so, oh goodness, okay. And so those questions are kind of, hi, is that Chris?
Sorry, it is. Can
Hi.
I jump in at a certain point whenever you're at a stopping point?
Please
'Cause
do.
I have a
Now's a
suggestion.
great time.
Okay. I think, everything that you've shared so far, and like I read through the document last night and all of the numerous ways that you would like to be getting involved. But correct me if I'm wrong, did I hear you say you have a team of 5 students who are like actively involved with NRC right now?
Well, so it's me, Alana, Sebastian, or I'm director, they're incoming directors, and then 2 people in the marketing team. And then, yeah, some other students who like know about the NRC, but are not, like fully involved in it. Yeah, I mean, we have students who like follow us on our social media, but they're not a part of our team, like in that sense of what we do.
Okay. My recommendation would be if you really want to, right now we have like a plethora of options, and
Mm.
trying to accomplish them all is going to make you accomplish them extremely shallow.
Mm.
And so looking at a few things that you can do really, really well. And I love this idea of getting more integrated into the community and having, shadowing opportunities of that nature. I think that's a really strong point. I would say, as someone who works with the city, I don't think it is at all the best use of your time to require one of your team members to go to every city hall or city council meeting. Like 3 out of the 4 a month, I think is what you had written in the document. And that is like those meetings can last from 1 p.m. until midnight sometimes. Gabrielle, stop. Sorry, I'm walking with my daughter and she just walked out in front of a car. So we're good. And I just think taking advantage of the relationships that you have here, and if Shanae and others are offering to do like tours of the neighborhood, really integrating and learning from the community. But I don't know, just my overall take in reading the document last night was, wow, you're trying to accomplish so much and your students first. So yeah, just wanted to provide that point of feedback as we dive into thinking about what the priorities are and what your goals are. Like students first, you only have so much time, like keep it as narrow and focused as possible so that you can actually make an impact on the few things that you choose to do. And you can't be everything to everyone. So, okay, sorry, unsolicited feedback. There you go.
No, not unsolicited. Thank you for that. Shanae, I see your hand too.
I'll pop back and push back a bit. I may agree not to go to every city commission meeting, but city commission meetings are recorded. So it may be that you take the meeting and then your interim, you take and do 30 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 30 minutes there. And the reason for that is in order for you to understand how the city is disconnected, the commission with people, is you have to understand what they're doing on the dais versus what's happening in the community. And what happens with our commission is they say really, really wonderful things for great sound bites for the news, but it's their governance that sucks. And the only way that you fully understand their governance, or even too, sometimes when people vote on a particular initiative, you don't understand why their vote was their vote until you listen to either their dissent or their agreement. So that's the reason there's still a lot of value even if you're not attending those meetings regularly.
Mm.
Also, it may be looking at the agenda and finding specific issues that it's imperative to not only go to the meeting, but to pick certain meetings to go to because of what's happening on that agenda. Additionally, they have work groups. So one that is really, really valuable is the Public Safety Committee that Commissioner Duncan Walker actually heads. There's a myriad of things, especially like right now as we're addressing gun violence, that happens at that meeting that people don't see. Or it could be also a value of your time helping with mobilization. So with phone calls and text messages to get other people to the meetings in order for it to be a larger show of people because there's something that's actually on the agenda. So with the city, I agree with the sentiment, not all the time, but being very creative and deliberate to ensure that it is a part of what you do because it's a puzzle piece. Also, it could be that somebody's listening to these meetings to take the information back to the people and to the community who are just trying to survive, who don't have time to break it down and listen to the meetings.
Okay. And providing, okay, the community. Okay. Is that something that your organization does at all? Like that information giving to the community?
Yes. So the parent meetings that we have coming up now is giving information to the community about what's going on with our school system. So
Okay.
exactly. So sometimes the way we do that is we bring people together in a virtual space or in a physical space to give them information, but then also help them to understand how their advocacy can move at particular actions.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like your group focuses on kind of a specific topic and takes that back and gives information about that to specific groups. And considering what you've shared and what Carissa also shared, like, is there a particular topic that the NRC should kind of focus our activism around instead of like all of the social issues? But like, I don't know, like particularly like volunteers or university relationship with the community, like is that
I think you should do information gathering first. And so that means kind of visiting with organizations, some of the ones that are listed, kind of getting their feedback because they're the boots on the ground. The most valuable thing to do is to gather the information from the people that are most impacted and then gather information from the people on the other side that are impacting people. And then from there, you all as a group decide what you all believe is the focus.
okay? I will say, so if you think we should do more of that, I totally hear you and I agree that that's always valuable, but we did kind of make an effort to go and do that and meet with these partners. So these 12 partners we were able to meet with individually, kind of get their feedback about like what are their concerns, what are their major challenges of doing the work that they do and how has the NRC benefited them and how could we do more? And
Keep
a lot
scrolling.
of it, I'm sorry, keep
Keep
scrolling.
scrolling.
While you're doing that, Maddie, I just to kind of combine these conversations.
Okay.
Janae's talked about a bunch of different things they do. It would take, why doesn't your team just spend some time with her organization, either individually or all of you, if they can take all of you, but just to learn more about it in depth.
Yeah.
You can decide, whether you have anything to offer, or whether you know students who have anything to offer. But going back to that original conversation about kind of doing stuff more deeply and building more relationships, this is an opportunity to try that out, to see how that works. And again, I would take advantage. There's so many opportunities just through Janae's group, everything from commission meetings to meeting people from the community to helping out. And I'm not talking about spending a year, but at least, a couple of visits, and you have, by the time you're done, you have a really good grasp of what they do and what they need. Whereas these other ones, I just think they're just a little more, general stuff. Each one of these could be the next organization you kind of understand in depth.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking 5, since there's
Thank you,
really
Paul.
5 you can count on.
So, and I want to jump in. So it's exactly the point that I want to bring home. So I'm going to pick on a few of the groups that you mentioned. So PACE is one, and I'm very clear about my issues with PACE.
Okay.
So PACE is a partner that provides services.
Mhm.
I'm going to be honest with you, they don't do it well.
Mm.
And they are going to present that they do it well. So for me, when I see, I'm looking at the organization, what youth have we engaged to understand where the disconnects are? So people who provide services and people who receive services have two totally different viewpoints on the services that are being provided.
Mm.
And so the way you're going to really get to the root of it is like when I showed you strong-minded mentoring, that is a mentoring program that does phenomenal work that has no support. So
Mm.
they can't, everything they're doing out of pocket. Everything they're doing is because of lack of being able to do capacity building. So there's more value to a group like that that has less resources than PACE, who actually is doing additional work, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
So what I'm stating is even taking some time to do some more information gathering,
Mm.
because we call it grass tops and grassroots in my line of work.
Yeah.
You've talked to the heads, which are the grass tops,
Mm.
but all of the foundation is in the roots.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, and Shanae and Paul said about actually talking to people that are receiving the service, the people that are most impacted. That's where you're gonna find out a whole lot of, you know, what you need to be doing with the community partner that you're working with.
Okay.
And that takes time.
And
There's no
Yeah.
way to rush this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it takes time, and it takes somebody who is trusted in the community to guide you there.
Mm.
So if Shanae, you're offering to, be that guide essentially for the students, Maddie, I would absolutely like take Paul's suggestion and take advantage of that, because you're not going to get honest feedback as UF students from people who don't know you, don't trust you, and don't have a reason to give you their honest feedback. But if you shadow Shanae, essentially, you'll be able to hear that authentic feedback a lot more readily.
Mm.
And I also wanted to say, because I'm going to have to jump off in a second for another meeting, but looking through the feedback that the other organizational partners gave, and Maddie, you and I talked about this over the holidays, there are so many partners that need help with measuring impact.
Mhm.
And that, whether it is because they need those metrics to be able to put into grant funding applications to show the validity and efficacy of their programming, or because they just want to know from a self-improvement standpoint, like how they need to shift what they're doing in order to make a greater amount of change or the right type of change. Like, evaluation and measurement is scary to people. They don't like the word data. And it's not actually as hard as people make it out to be, but that is something that the university is going to be looked at for an ability to offer that type of skill set and mentoring. And to Paul's point, faculty want to be involved too. So I would suggest, in addition to this, shadowing observational role that you might play with Shanae's organization, maybe taking other time to rally faculty who can help support from a, impact measurement tool, assessment evaluation, component, and then be able to, whether it's hold workshops or one-on-one meetings with the orgs that are looking to develop these tools, plug in faculty who can help develop the tools and students who might be able to help implement the tools. And then you're giving something valuable back to the partners who have shown up to your meetings and been good partners in that way. And at the same time, you're affording the majority of your boots on the ground time to actually learning and hearing from people by following Shanae. So that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's really helpful.
And-
I would love to hear, so particularly Miss Abigail, I would love to kind of like bring this up to you too. Because you were one of the partners who we were able to meet with ahead of this whole panel. And you had mentioned concern about like, okay, well, we need more students doing the work for us, not telling us how to do the work itself. And so I'd want to make sure that if we kind of take this like evaluation route to like as a tangible service that we can offer our community partners while we're kind of integrating ourselves into the community alongside Shanae, like I guess how do we make sure that we're really giving something that benefits the community and not just like I guess taking from the community or like exploiting data or whatever.
Maybe having your own evaluation system for what you're doing. Because I've worked with like many different student groups, Enactus, the groups that are like similar to Enactus. I've worked with groups from like different schools, business schools, social entrepreneurship, and it requires a lot of time to work with these groups, and you don't always get like an outcome that's good for your organization. So it feels like you're helping them with their projects for school and they're learning, but you're not actually getting a whole lot back. And a lot of these groups are kind of, they're that in between. There's like the sororities and fraternities who asked to come out in really large numbers and do these like curated kind of like volunteeristic experiences that aren't necessarily always helpful. They might be good for like some nonprofit marketing stuff. And then there's the in-between groups that want to like do stuff more in depth, but sometimes they also aren't like helping and they're detracting from people's time. And so if you can get good feedback, if there's any kind of consistency from like different organizations or organizations at different stages when you're working with the actual organizations, to see how to like evaluate what you're doing on your end. So we know kind of what we need, but like how do you evaluate like success if you're going to ask a community partner to be spending a lot of time with you?
Okay.
Because I just like stopped saying yes to most of these groups because I work, I'm like trying to help lead a nonprofit. And it took so much time to even like respond to these groups, much less like spending months and months with a group that winds up giving you like maybe like a marketing plan that like isn't very accurate at all. So you have to make sure that the people that you're working with like have somebody that's kind of like supervising their work. Maybe that person also communicates with the nonprofit as well, maybe at the same time. Because there's also like businessy people at UF that are like really out of touch. There's that whole like innovation hub, entrepreneurship kind of language that's used that isn't always like fitting for community work. But this like small group of people that are teaching that stuff just like get all the younger people and the organizations to feel like they have to follow like a particular script or direction, and it's actually like the opposite of what's actually like community driven. I've seen people that like teach this stuff that are literally just like teaching people how to recreate the problem. And so like maybe a like vetting system, being very clear with the students or teachers that you work with about your values and how you measure your impact and how you engage. I know that's like a whole lot, but it's just like it's what I've seen over the years, and it's what gives me pause when a student group is like, we want to do a project for you. Like I would just rather, like I just responded to one recently. I was like, I would much rather that you just like fundraised for us, because anything that you might do on a particular day that you selected for an hour and a half with 50 people is not like
Yeah,
going to be nearly as helpful as if you just like fundraise for our
yeah,
organization.
right. Okay, I think maybe just an idea that's coming to my head as you're talking about that is, and Sarah, you might have insight into kind of this, like being able to evaluate our success as we're going into this. But if we are able to coalesce people from across the university who can do more of this like data driven like program evaluation work, simultaneously creating a model for like what does it, I guess, how can student groups who want to do either program evaluation or grant writing or marketing plans or whatever, how can they evaluate their success too? And how can they stay accountable to the community? I don't know, like if we're already creating that survey, then the NRC kind of being able to share that across
Yeah.
campus with multiple partners.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're really onto something there. And Maddie, I think you and I have actually chatted about this before too, like this whole piece of how can the NRC potentially even become like this hub of people to be like, we want to do this work, what does it look like? And some of that even be, and I appreciate, you know, it was just shared, some of that even be like the people who are looking for the one-off, they do need 50 people to show up for a day. You have that information to be able to maybe make the right connection for that partnership. Because well, we're looking for more meaningful engagement for what the NRC does, we also understand that sometimes those organizations could just use that type of involvement as well. And there's times when that's a little bit more appropriate too, and helping to direct that. I think when you get into the idea of evaluation, I completely agree that some of it is easier than people make it out to be. But I also think that the same idea is like if we get into the business of it becoming student projects or, you know, anything that isn't 100% regulated, you get a little concerned of what the output looks like. And the second that you've had a bad contact, you've potentially ripple affected, ruined relationships with a lot of people, right? And I think that that's the last thing that you want to do with an organization that has the hearts in the right place the way that you guys do. So, I mean, I've had discussions since I've been here over the last 2 years of what does this look like to start like a community innovation lab, where that's specifically what we do. And I think that there could be a potential of a partnership of what that would look like with the NRC, and we could bring in a couple of other faculty who we know are also in that realm, and really kind of direct some of that, but also do it on a lower level where we're building relationships one by one before the word starts to get out maybe that we've had success in that space. So, I mean, I think that that's definitely a potential for that piece of collaborative, but yeah, I mean, I think the hard part, right, is that piece of what happens with all of these relationships. And I see that with classes all the time, right? That's one of the reasons why I teach a community-based class and don't have my students do a community-based project. It's because I know that it's not going to be as useful as if they mock and pick something that they're passionate about to create, you know, a long-term plan for. So I don't know if there's a way that you guys could get maybe even into the more, you know, well, as you guys were talking, I was thinking a little bit more about too, what does it look like to provide training? And, you know, not that we want to do like get in the business of certifications, right? But like this idea that people have engaged enough to the level that you feel confident putting and slapping their name next to the NRC. Well, also, you know, from what you've shared and expressed as well, another thing that you're running into or having to try to navigate too is, you know, 5 from a number standpoint is relatively low too. So wanting, I mean, one of your primary goals should also be that piece of looking at how do you grow that number a little bit bigger, right? And maybe you do want it to remain a little bit smaller, but yeah, I mean, I think you could go in a ton of different directions. I think if the evaluation idea is a good idea, I think it is what people want. Like I said, I think that when people feel as if you're collaborating with them and you're working with them to figure out what they need for an evaluation, I can tell you that I've never ran into an issue when I'm like, you know, but I'm a faculty member and if I could publish on this, that'd be great. People are typically like, as long as you're actually working with me to develop what I need, and then that being the outcome, they're usually really happy with it. So I think that that's kind of the missing element, is that sometimes people miss that piece of it.
Okay.
because it becomes about what they want to research or what they want to look at and not what the organization needs data wise.
Yeah. Shanae, do you have
I
thoughts
just
on
want
all
to
of this?
100% echo that.
Oh, sorry.
Like
Oh,
100%. I've gone to conferences where like that is the primary topic of developing measurement tools specific for the outcomes that the community partner wants to see change. It's not about the question that the faculty members want to research. It's what are you trying to do? What impact are you trying to make? Let us help you develop a tool that will be able to measure whether or not we're successful at that. So yeah, just wanted to 100% echo and endorse that statement.
And I want to add further context. They're absolutely correct. In addition, some organizations, especially new ones and fledgling ones, don't know what they're trying to impact. They don't know logic models and theories of change. So there's an opportunity to come and support that to make sure that things make sense. Additionally, Black-led organizations don't have the same social capital. They don't have the same people that are on their boards with the same skill sets. Like most people say, I'm going to start a nonprofit and I'll get my friend and my cousin to be on the board. And that's literally like the number one no-no. So there's even value as students, you're having that part of it to be able to have those conversations with people who just really are doing something great or that want to make a change and they don't know how to get their organization to be sustainable, even if they're doing great work. Or others, they might be able to be more impactful, but exactly, they don't know what information should be gathering. They have a feeling, so there's an opportunity to foster what it is that they want and help them to maneuver that. And, you know, even if you're coming in with your educational aspect, keep it centered in what it is that they want and help with those particular supports.
okay. Okay, so if we're doing educate, so there's UF Serves educating on like ethical volunteerism through, especially through that curriculum that Tasha and Egan and I have been able to work on. So do we see the NRC kind of being able to educate on like that sort of program evaluation, student orgs measuring how much impact they're able to like really have on the community, and then also community partners being able to measure their success to be able to, you know, gather that data and use that to be able to access more resources like grant funding? Like, is that kind of where we're seeing the NRC like situate in this puzzle of community engagement? Am I hearing this right?
I feel like maybe, yeah, UF Serves, there are a lot of transitions and shifts happening right now. I don't know if everyone probably doesn't know, but there are lots of shifts happening. So there's the UF Serves initially is started out supposed to be community facing and student facing. Some of the things that are happening now is making it seemingly like more student facing. The things that I'm doing is trying to make certain that and with my partnership with the NRC is to make certain that it's still community facing as well and community focused as well, because that's important. The education component for students can happen through UF Serves. It, you know, depending on all the different shifts. It can definitely happen through UF Serves. NRC, we definitely need NRC to be, yeah, student facing education, student facing through UF Serves, but primarily community facing. I mean, those are just my thoughts, and we can talk through it more, but that's just my thought on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mind is directly going even to this point of like, what if UF Serves as the education component and the NRC becomes like so what now? Right? Like, I'm educated, like I have this idea, like I am passionate about this thing, but now I'm still like, and potentially a student, right? Or faculty or anybody who are involved with UF or community. And now like, I don't know where to go to do the thing that I feel like I could do and I could contribute.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and we've talked about that. Tasha and Egan and I have talked about that, like NRC kind of being that deeper connection, and that non-UF affiliated body that's still connected to all of the networks to be able to like, okay, really be integrated in the community without the red tape of like what looks best for the university interest. I think that's like a big thought and a big statement, and I want to make sure that we walk away from this meeting with specific action steps that we can take to do that. Especially with me graduating, and Alana and Sebastian are here. I want to make sure that the NRC is in a position to really be able to like come into this mission and this deeper relationship with the community. And so really fleshing out like what are those steps that we're going to take is important here. So if it's okay, kind of building upon these ideas to really create those action steps right now would be, in my opinion, extremely helpful. Are you guys okay with doing that? Okay. So I think I'm trying to figure out whether to do this from like a 1 to 3 year perspective or just like a right now perspective and let it grow organically. My first thought is like Shanae and the NRC team having a deeper conversation about like what that partnership looks like. How can we partner with you? How can we make sure that that's a reciprocal relationship and not just us like being in your space and not really doing anything or just like observing? What are your thoughts on that? Like, what's the next step with that partnership?
I'm going to drop my Calendly into the chat. All you do is just schedule a time, and
Okay.
you can choose in person, Zoom, by phone,
Okay.
and then we'll meet, and then we can actually flesh it out.
Okay.
And then that way too, it's not nearly as rushed, so you can ask more robust questions,
Mhm.
and me be able to, provide materials and things like that to answer your questions at that time.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna just it's not really clearly.
Maddie, I'm not quite sure how this fits in, but that's part of the student education process. I mean, you and the directors of the NRC are gaining an education just by spending time with an organization. So if you record all that, in the end, that could be evaluated or measured or, reported. And as you learn about the organization, but also as you start to plan with the organization about what you can do together,
Yeah.
that's an educational process. And now the education is starting to go 2 ways. So I would just consider the whole thing as, you've talked about UF serves and whatever education process they're getting, but you're getting something completely different here.
Okay.
I agree with Paul. It's
Absolutely.
deeper.
And if you do it this way, where there's an even flow of information sharing, no matter what you decide, you're going to get more buy-in and have a more successful implementation.
Okay.
So consider it data,
Yeah.
all your interactions, relationship building, that's data.
Yeah. So then how do we I guess showcase that data, utilize it, compile it? Like what do we do then?
There's a myriad of different ways. I think one of the things is to gather the data first and then determine the best way, because it can be charts, it can be graphs, it can be a presentation with an accompanying pamphlet. There's a myriad of different ways.
Yeah.
I think it's going to depend upon the data. And we can actually talk about that, what data you all want to collect.
Okay.
And then from there, after that, you can determine it.
Okay. So I think that's something that we can get more specific about as we work closely with you, Shanae. And I feel confident that with you as our kind of consistent advisor and Carla and all, other partners who we can closely work with, we can steward that opportunity and that educational experience well. If that agrees with your thoughts on that. Okay, I have that. So the further questions would be like, we got this feedback from our partners here. You know, we have come up with action steps to kind of be able to address some of their acute needs. We know that peak literacy kids count hands-on Gainesville needs more like tutors and students to be able to work with their organizations. And so like, you know, is this something that the NRC can do or has a role in? What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do we I don't know, that might be part of recruiting students into the NRC team too, is like saying that there's this acute need within the community. We're looking for students who want to be more involved with the community and who specifically want to fulfill this need that our partners have demonstrated. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I've been listening, and there's something that comes consistently, Maddie, from all your partners here who are tremendously knowledgeable.
Mm.
And it's, y'all need to learn. Y'all need the education before you can do the action and the advocacy and all of that stuff. And the other bit about not trying to do too much at the same time.
Mm.
And I worry here we're going a little bit in the direction of trying to do too much and losing the focus on the education. But I also really appreciate the gathering and the asking all your partners what they need, and so maybe framing the question more open-ended for everyone that's here today and saying like, we have this list of needs that have been expressed. How can we go, like, what could be a strategy for us to start addressing these things that we know, to build capacity internally and externally and collaboratively?
Yeah, I think, yes, I think that's the question I'm trying to get at. If you guys have thoughts on that. I can somewhat speak to, I think we can somewhat just continue what we have been doing, staying connected to those partners through our monthly meetings, where partners can come and continue to kind of express their needs to us, and we can share those with UF Serves as UF Serves grows, because I think that UF Serves will have the capacity to really recruit like a number of students in who can fill some of those more specific needs. We can share those through like social medias and stuff like that, but then in our the bulk of our energy will be focused on kind of integrating more like deeply into the community, maybe alongside Shanae. How does that sound? So there's kind of this like surface level thing that we do on a day-to-day basis, and then a deeper level of like, okay, here's what our organization is doing to educate ourselves and really deepen those relationships.
Yes. And students that are recruited in can join you and get that education as well. So that it's being kind of spread across the campus community. You know, they can get that deeper, they'll get that deeper level of education, the students that do join the NRC by being a part of, you know, those meetings with Shanae and which as it grows, you know, and it expands out to other community partners, being more deeply involved with the community in that way.
Okay. So through these monthly meetings, I think our partners have expressed buy-in to these meetings because they know that their voice can be heard through these meetings. Is there anything kind of like additionally that you think is important to add there? Like a buy-in, why should I participate in these meetings? What am I gonna get out of it? And also like on the student end, like if that's a means by which we can recruit more students into this, like why are they going to join?
If I have availability, it's probably going to be on Friday, but let me check tomorrow.
Yeah, because I have to do it after I get off from work.
I can't do
Shanae-
tomorrow. That's my niece's graduation.
Maddie,
Shanae-
I would just say that, you know, I
Let me
like
check out
the
Monday. Hold on.
SMART goals and all.
So I can
but
do Monday at 6.
Wait, hey Shanae, I don't
I'm
think
gonna
you're
try-
muted.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm muted.
Okay, I'm
Um,
listening.
But these are things that are potentially the students can bring to the organizations. I think it's you're like Emmy said, you're kind of jumping ahead to this stuff, but it's still there's nothing wrong with having these ideas. You know, eventually we're going to set up a great tutoring program, which is going to be functional, effective. Eventually, we're going to set up an evaluation program. We're going to help train people in grant writing and grant applications. You can have that and then decide later, what do people need specifically? What do they really need? And then how can you tailor what you can provide? So it just seems this is the future buy-in.
I agree with
Yeah.
Paul. We had talked about that prior, Maddie, about, just that list of things, that to-do list, can sit to the side, and then later on you can decide on, okay, what can we do now? So yeah, I agree with Paul.
Okay.
So I was participating and then I stopped. And part of why I stopped is because I didn't understand what the NRC was supposed to be doing. And I thought that it was supposed to be doing more than it was doing, or more than it was apparent during the meetings. And I'm really busy. I would have participated anyways to be supportive, except for the fact that I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
And that's what like helped me make that choice. The reason why I've participated, still kept some level of participation, is because of who has been involved. So like Carla and some of the students that I've had a chance to speak to and their values. And so I think that's very important to be able to communicate and be clear about, because if you project something other than what's happening for somebody who's overwhelmed, they are likely to not come back. And the people who are generally the most overwhelmed are the people who we should be listening to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
I just want to make sure everything Abigail said resonates. The reason that we have been deliberate is because of who's been at the table. And when you're, as you notice, like I'm taking calls and things in the midst of these, because I normally have 6 to 8 hours worth of meetings, plus all of the work that I do, because I have a staff of 40 across the state.
Yeah.
We're deliberate about it if we can see the value.
Right.
And so one of the ways to keep them there is, of course, those relationships, but then also helping people to understand the value for them to push through already being busy and chaotic to continue on and be a part of it will be really important. She made a very, very great point.
Yeah. So what is the best way to demonstrate that value to our partners? Like, what are we?
You're not going to know that yet. So part of them, we're going to go back to the education.
Yeah.
There's too many unknowns. There's too many variables. Once you actually start to, so one of the things that's good about me is I can help be a liaison, not just for my organization, but for others. My organization is an alignment organization or coalition building. So you have the opportunity for me to get a bunch of organizations or people who are providing services or who are impacted in a space so that you can get the information. It may be a focus group that you do. It may be a survey that you do, and we get on in Zoom and do the surveys and things together. So once we meet, I'll help you even with that particular part of it. You're not going to have the answer to some of the questions you want the answers to until you do the learning aspect, because
Okay.
it's a very, very different culture
Mhm.
for people that are in kind of survival mode, but that are also trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
100% agree with Shanae. And when I told you about canvassing with Shanae,
Mhm.
I knew automatically being present, being engaged, there's going to be a lot more that the NRC gains
Mhm.
from being, from being present with her. So it would be
Mhm.
more than just canvassing. There would be it would go be a lot deeper than just canvassing. Canvassing is important too, though.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is don't try to plan next steps until we take this first step and meet with Shanae and come up with a plan for to be really integrated with her.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Ask folks if the monthly meetings as a listening and learning and connecting space could be appealing. Like I'm again struck by how much wisdom and connectedness there is in this group. And like, I imagine a week where Abigail, you're like the guest speaker and you're talking about Grace Grows and you're sharing some of the things you shared, right? Like you want to bring your group of 50 pals and you think you're helping, but actually love it. Sorry,
You do
just
vent
seeing the chat.
sessions. Yeah.
Kind of, so having a rotation of organizations that are being highlighted, like
Yeah.
features, and giving students an opportunity and everyone and partners to come and learn about the work that these folks do and what's helpful, what's not helpful,
Mhm.
matters to them, kind of sharing that wisdom in that space. And could be also a space for like some of the folks, at UF to come, like say, I'm in the Beyond 120 program. What the heck is the Beyond 120 program? What does it what does it do? How can it support what you do? How can it be helpful? What are some courses that I teach? And kind of having a space to get to know each other and learn from one another.
Mhm.
Maddie, that circling back around to the Spotlight series and maybe with a
Yeah.
tweak to that series.
Yeah. We have tried to do this. This is the NRC has been a lot of trial and error. So I think that this meeting is helpful to kind of flesh out like why are some of these things not working? How can we make them work better? And that spotlight series where we have like highlighted different partners is kind of something that we have tried to do. Although we asked the partners to come in person, we wanted it to be like a very collaborative experience with students. And it just didn't work because we were asking students and partners to come to us instead of going to where they are. And so I think that if we can kind of restructure that, I think that could be helpful. Yes. Shanae, what do you think about that type of structure in our monthly meetings?
I 100% agree, because now
Okay.
you're centering the people and what they actually need, and we're not just showing up and listening to this is what I'm doing. And sometimes when I haven't attended meetings, if I have to make a decision, that's why.
Yeah. So, okay.
And let me say this also, Maddie.
Yeah,
I think that part of the reason that it didn't work is because, and I'm just going to be very, just very honest about it. It was
please.
being done like specifically under UF serves in partnership with NRC.
Mhm.
I have no problem. That needs to be just under NRC. Under UF serves, it was being done basically based on the guidelines of UF and the way that they wanted it done. And I feel like that's part of the reason that it did not work. So NRC taking complete control of the Spotlight series. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. How are we going to pick, I guess, the partners that are that are being highlighted? Like, how do we ask partners to do that what does that process look like?
I think it's still going back to the learning. So you're gonna need to know more about organizations and what they do and their challenges before determining how to pick.
Mhm.
So that's the reason I would like to meet first, and we can talk about the different buckets of organizations,
Okay.
the different things that they do, and then set up a criteria from there. So you're asking very, very relevant questions, and I
Okay.
would love for you to put those down so that we can come back and answer them at a later date.
Okay.
But to really get any further and really add a lot of value, it'll be engaging those. I can be a spokesperson, but I think you're gonna get more value out of it if I get you in front of the people you need to be in front of.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and Sarah, I see your comment too. So like moving forward right now, can the NRC be kind of moving forward with reaching out to like faculty and saying, hey, we're having these meetings. This is a great opportunity to really hear from the community about how you might be engaging your classes and your curriculum, and just kind of like getting that buy-in across the university so that we're cultivating that network.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's a good possibility. You know, I think that, you know, even some of the things that were shared today as like issues with some of that, some of the issues didn't stem in the students, right? As much as they stemmed in like the internal piece or component of what it was a faculty or a program coordinator is trying to do, right? Like even Greek life was thrown out today. Greek life does a lot of service or push service, right?
Yeah.
But and I don't know enough, so I apologize if this is incorrect, but how often are those coordinators or like the individuals who are overseeing Greek life here thinking about the importance of intentionality? Is that something that they're incorporating even in like their trainings, right? And that's just one example. But
As a former member of Greek life, that was one of the reasons why I got out of there, because it is exceedingly superficial from my experience. And there was no like community buy-in. It was all about the selling point was like, oh, you get to go make friendship bracelets with these kids from after school care. It wasn't like, what are you doing for the community?
right.
And it was a one-time per semester requirement. There was no expectation of like sustainable engagement or anything like that.
So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's personal invitations. I don't know if that's, you know, I don't have a great suggestion for how you go about doing that, but I also don't think that people mean to do harm. I think
Yeah.
that they don't know. I think they truly don't know that they're not doing good.
Yeah.
Right. And I if there's a way to start thinking a little bit more about what the top-down structure of that looks like, maybe we'd see some better long-term partnerships and engagements instead of faculty or staff members at the university getting frustrated that organizations don't want to work with them. Maybe they could start to understand why they don't want to work with them and how they could build better partnerships. So just a suggestion or a thought, and something that, you know, I observed during listening today.
Yeah. So Maddie, when we spoke one-on-one, that's something that I mentioned as well. Because I've like gotten to the point where I'm like, who is your professor?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because like doing it for so many years, you see that trend, but also bear in mind that certain organizations also perpetuate this because they can work it into their fundraising and marketing model. And so some organizations are accepting this type of work, knowing that it's a curated experience and that it's not actually super helpful. So like the labor that they're asking for, it's just like performance, and that's like extremely common. So that's why it's also important to be listening to impacted people and people who are in need of services. But like, to me, it's not the students so much as it is the culture, and it's up to the leaders within that culture to be able to change that. And so, you know, professors are next up in the ladder, but even beyond that, you know, department chairs.
Yeah.
But also like bearing in mind if there's some way to like emphasize to like really emphasize the like listening component of participation.
Yeah.
Because if you recruit too much from that group, and you only have like a couple community leaders, it people might not want to, the people who are actually in the community outside of the university might not want to come back. I'm part of like other groups that are just, they're like good, well-intentioned people who do have leadership, for instance, in like the healthcare safety net. But they leave zero room for participation from like community driven organizations, because of the appearance of like being so academic, and they're like not inclusive. They're like sweet people, but
Yeah.
so just paying attention to those dynamics as you start like recruiting folks from the university, I think it's really important.
Okay.
Yes. And I've been just listening, and everything that I've been hearing has just been really informative and just changing my perspective on how we're deciding to move forward. And right now at this point, I'm hearing a lot of I guess kind of requests for education of the student population. And one of the SMART goals we kind of had fleshed out was starting to do teach-ins and educating certain groups that might have that have intentions of doing community work, but may not know the best ways of doing it. And personally, like just from what I'm hearing, I would love to like kind of know sort of like how we should go about that. And obviously we need to do like our own education with Shanae and steps like that, but I'm just curious to kind of know like what that perspective is.
My initial thought on that would be that's something that we can flesh out as we work more closely with Shanae. As we learn within our team, like about the community, we'll be able to kind of better identify the the people who we should work with for these teach-ins, and also kind of like what we're teaching. I'd be curious to hear Shanae's thoughts on that.
I agree with that, Maddie. And then I mean, I think that's where the advocacy and accountability component will come in at. Like as you learn with Shanae, then you'll begin to have a better understanding and develop an instinct about which directions to go in.
I think that'll evolve with that work with Shanae. Okay.
And
Oh,
you
yeah.
can kind of create a model of what it is you're doing. You don't really know what this relationship looks like, but if you're taking notes and you're asking questions, eventually you're going to know, what are the questions for the next group you go to. You're going to know the questions that you need to ask. You're going to have to know what resources students might be able to provide and what things they can't do and things like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of think of it as kind of creating a manual
Okay.
for establishing this, one by one with different groups and different groups of students.
And one
Yeah.
that stands out that you're going to learn is sending out a survey for people to state what they need. An extremely busy person, the survey gets put off, it gets put to the back. So it may be like, hey, we're going to schedule a meeting, and you ask the questions and you type it up and they just tell you verbally. So you learn those kinds of things where it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And a survey sounds convenient, not for a person who's extremely busy. So by the time their day shuts down, the last thing they want to do is complete a survey.
Yeah.
And they want to, they want the help, but they don't. It's just, okay, I cannot push through for another moment. It becomes something that's very daunting. And so it's those little subtle things that you will learn in this process. And that's why I think just the best course of action, because you've learned so much just from us, is by now we're kind of the representatives in our personal experiences and who we've talked to, but you're going to learn a great deal more for those other organizations that are providing services to those other people that are trying to become organizations that provide services.
Okay. Yeah.
And probably, as you can see, Maddie, this doesn't go, the way that this has gone, you're probably seeing that formula of, okay, let me map out everything and then execute does not necessarily work in community driven work.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily work all the time. This is, it's a learning process.
Yeah, it is. My concern is that the partnerships that we do have, I don't want to abandon those or let them down or like let their feedback that they've provided to us go unheard. And so I'm trying to kind of figure out in my head, like maybe how to approach that. Like, how do we maintain, for example, with peak literacy, like that relationship that we've established with them. But
I'm sorry, going back to what we discussed before about the groups of students that will do more skills-based type of service. That's where you work with UF Serves to recruit those students to actually, to do those specific things.
Yeah.
Skills-based things with those community partners.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't feel like it would be abandoning anyone. The NRC is trying to get a better understanding and a deeper connection within the community in order to be able to better support those community partners.
Okay.
So yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll piggyback off of that. So for example, with peak literacy, you may come across another organization whose gap peak literacy can fill. And so
Yeah.
that's the reason that the information gathering is also important. And that way you're not actually abandoning peak literacy, you're giving them the opportunity to be able to provide services and access to people they may not have.
Yeah.
And additionally, one organization may have social capital that peak literacy does not. And so that's why the information gathering is so important, because then it is meshing what each organization does well together to foster more capacity as well.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for
Y'all
that
also,
perspective.
y'all know a lot of, I mean, I think it's really beautiful and meaningful. It's say like, hey, we ask people to list these needs that they have, and we don't want to just pretend we didn't hear it and kind of ignore them. While also re-emphasizing education as the kind of immediate and urgent and long-term goal. Look, Maddie, you know a lot of people, you know a lot of good people at UF, you know a lot of staff, you know a lot of faculty, you know a lot of like cool student orgs who are maybe a bit more attuned to like the essence of community-driven engagement and work. And so like maybe that's the first step, is just facilitate these connections and say, hey, can you help with any of these? Do you know folks who can help with any of these? Like I was looking at the list and I was like, oh, I could help with that. I could help with that. Oh, I know someone who could help with that, right? So sort of relying on the people that you already know and trust and make these connections. So like, Shanae, we have never met. I have not had the pleasure of meeting you, but like already I feel like there's this connection, right? And if Maddie, you were to put us in touch, like there's already a reservoir of trust and faith there, and we can start working together.
Okay.
So I don't know what other folks think, but I'm thinking in terms of wanting to also be responsive and address the needs that you've heard, maybe just starting there with the people that you know and that you trust. And UF serves for the more technical things like Tasha was saying too, you know.
Yeah. I think in my head what I said before about like the surface level, our daily kind of like, okay, we can build these connections, we can maintain like this network of connectedness through these monthly meetings, and maybe also just coordinating the people that we do have in our network. But then like what we do and like our deeper mission is connected like through Shanae, and that will grow organically. I just don't I would just want to make sure that that still like aligns, like if we're making those connections and still reaching out to those people, like that aligns with everyone's vision here.
They're the resources you have anyway, so you got to work with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you, yeah.
Shanae, I'm gonna look at your Calendly and see if we can, if you have anything available next week, I'll like try to align with Alana and Sebastian's schedules and also the rest of the NRC team and see if we can schedule something with you to kind of create a plan moving forward. The last other, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I haven't said anything.
Okay, I just saw you unmute, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting you off. The last other thing would be we are supposed to have our monthly NRC meeting the first week of February. And so I think Shanae may be talking with you during our meeting about like, do we ask a community partner to come talk? Should we be recruiting certain people and inviting them to come to this meeting, or just like carrying on as normal?
When is
And
that
like,
meeting?
I believe I need to make sure that I keep it consistent. I believe it's the first Thursday of every month from 1 to 2 p.m.
So if it is, that would be February the 1st.
That would be February 1st, yes.
So I'm just gonna put it on my calendar tentatively so we don't
Okay.
lose it. And you just let me know.
Okay. Oh my gosh, wait. I didn't realize that was next week. Normally it's like this technically in the second week. But that's really early. So
And I
I'll-
won't be in town the second week.
okay, so I'll try to schedule a meeting with you and the NRC team early next week. And I might just send you an email too, to kind of just asking you some questions about how we can conduct that meeting, and then like have the month of February to plan for
Okay.
March.
That sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Everybody, I am so thankful for you and for your feedback and your vision for the NRC, and I'm excited to grow. And I think Alana and Sebastian are in a great place to be able to carry this forward after I graduate in May. But until then, I'm still all in on this, and we'll really work hard to be connected and to deepen these relationships. And Shanae, I appreciate your tentative willingness to kind of help us get there and commitment to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I just want to echo Maddie's sentiments. I'm really excited to be working with Maddie and Sebastian and all of you, and just getting ready to make sure that the NRC is, community driven and we have a long-standing future. So thank you all for being here, and I'm excited to work with you all.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and I appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Maddie. Let me know how I can help.
Thank you so much. We'll be staying in touch. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Alana, if you want to stay.
No, yeah, okay.